The Urhobo Progress Union, UPU, is doubtless the foremost socio-cultural organization of the Urhobos of the Western Delta. UPU, the apex organization of the Urhobos, is the oldest such entity in Nigeria and only next to the African National Congress in the whole of the African continent. The UPU has had an uninterrupted 90-year existence. Few institutions in Nigeria are better served by time and space. As the sketch of the colonial framework in Nigeria became more legible, groups emerged which would seek better and more equitable conditions for the native elements themselves. Among the earliest and certainly the most outstanding was the Urhobo Progress Union, which made its bow under the inspirational leadership of Mokoromowo 90 years ago. The organization not only gave voice and strength to the Urhobos, it also invested in them a raised consciousness of ethnic national pride. It is the labors of these visionary servants of the Urhobo nation, as well as the relentless output of the UPU, that we memorialize and celebrate at this moment of its 90th anniversary.
90 years, the nearest in Africa, and that's a political organization, is ANC, which is older than us. Okay, but we're not a political organization. We are a socio-cultural for the goodness and orderliness of the Urhobo society.
We are planning for the celebration, and in 3 ways we think the Urhobo Progress Union should be celebrated. Even today, in 2021, the UPU has continued to grow in strength, which means the consciousness of being Urhobo and thinking through Urhobo has been sustained, and it's something that requires to be celebrated.
We are looking at how we can make the place to grow. Everybody should contribute his own quota to the growth of a UPU. Bring yours, everybody bring, we make one family, Urhobo will be great again.
For 90 years, we are doing the celebration formally very soon. And the whole world will be around here in Delta State.
90 years, so I think it calls for celebration. Today we have a leadership headed by Olorogun Peter Igho, a very, very respected Urhobo business tycoon, one of as an Urhobo icon before he came on board, very well respected. I'm hopeful the kings of the Urhobo land, the prominent Urhobo sons and daughters in leadership and without will come together and fashion a way, to strengthen UPU, rally behind Olorogun Peter Igho, so that Urhobos will be able to speak with one voice and project and protect the Urhobo interests.
The highlights of the celebration will actually start with a lecture. After that, we're going to have visitation from other ethnic nationality organizations from all over the country. And then after that, we're going to go a little bit internal we have a lot of social clubs and all that, they will also feature. But on Friday, 4th of December, I think, that day is the day we shall have our Congress and award ceremonies. That is the one that the governor and a lot of people from within and outside the country will attend. And after that, we're going to have a cultural day, and we shall end with a Thanksgiving.
But first, a fundamental inquiry. Who are the Urhobos? A language? A people? What exactly?
So Urhobo as a whole happened to be placed in Nigeria, in certain part of Nigeria. And in Nigeria too, we have states. The Urhobo people are placed in Delta State, and they happen to be in the center of Delta, and that is why we are a Delta Central.
Urhobo is one of the languages in Niger Delta, and it's also a nation in the sense that any ethnic group is a nation. Any group that speaks one language and has a common history is qualified as a nation. All Urhobo did not migrate from one spot at the same time, but they all identified themselves as people having a common ancestry and a common history.
Urhobo is not a person. It's just a name of people occupying a central geographical space of what is today known as Delta State Senatorial District.
You are aware that in Delta State we have 3 senatorial districts, but the Urhobo people are principally found in the Delta Central part of the state. In addition to that, we equally have a pocket of Urhobos in Warri South. We have some of them in Patani. But principally, they are majorly found in 8 local governments in the Delta Central.
In spite of the 24 kings, the Urhobos are united as one nation.
Urhobos form over 40% of the population of the present-day Delta, especially when you add the 2 Urhobo kingdoms in Warri South local government of Delta South Senatorial District.
We are bordered on the left, right, or center by the Shekiris, the Ijos, the Isokos, and then, of course, the Ndukwa nation, the great Ndukwa nation. Lovely neighbors we have. The Urhobos have been the most peaceful. There has been no time that you have seen Urhobo people, in real fratricidal contest with any of their neighbors.
The Shekiris and the Urhobos, one cannot do without the others. That's why you see today, you hardly get Shekiri person who have no tint of Urhobo blood in him, vice versa. And the food is the same. The attire, the way they dress is the same. The difference is the language.
There is no neighboring ethnic group here that Urhobos were not married to. We marry Shekiri women, Ijo women, Isoko women, Kwane women. Then their men have also found our daughters worthy materials for wives. They look at our names too. Many of us, some of us bear Shekiri names. We bear Ijo names, we bear Kwane names, and so on and so forth. We bear Isoko names. And that relationship is also reflected in the only authoritative book written on our legend, Mukoromowo. That book was written by an Isoko man, Professor Obaro Ikime. It is a reflection of how we related. It has been cordial.
The Urhobos are blessed with rich, fertile land. They are predominantly involved in agriculture.
Agriculture mainly, and then trading and commerce. And many Urhobo land, then parcel of land had rubber, palm oil plantation, and then cocoa. Even cocoa was grown in Okware. My maternal grandfather was a big cocoa farmer, and rubber. And then there was African, US, not US, but trading company established in Okware. I mean, they had these white men who were there. Were trading on these agricultural products, you know. And each time my mother takes us to Okware, we would see the processing. Then there were ships landing from Europe to carry these products. So rubber, cocoa, palm oil, and palm kernel were major products, you know, in Urhobo land.
It was farming time. The men cleared the bush and cut the big trees, and then the women planted the yams or the cassava or the corn. My father was not really much into farming, but my grandfather was. My grandfather was king, had huge farms on the other side of the river, very fertile land. There was this kind of unwritten law that the men will cut the bush, get it ready, do the huge, hard manual labor, and the women will come in and plant and tend the weeds from the plants from time to time. I remind also went there to do hunting and protected the women from animals and stuff like that. And in between those 4 days in the bush and 1 day out, you know, the men sat down and played draft and told stories in the moonlight, and we all listened as kids, learned to wrestle, and the women learned to cook and teach us the mannerisms of Urhobo. It was a beautiful time to be.
Women, of course, did farming too. They were like the, I would say, their farming was more or less to feed the family. They would do cassava, gari, cocoa gari, and even do fishing. They would go fishing and they bring this home to cook, not necessarily to sell. On market days, if you had cocoa gari left or starch left, you might sell in order to buy, say, fish or dry fish. So it was a little bit of a trade by barter in those days, although money was already available, so money was a means of exchange, even in the Urhobo typical village.
If you say the Urhobo man is very hardworking, then the Urhobo woman is even twice as hardworking as the men. When I was growing up, my mother and even all my other father's wives were the ones feeding the families. They go to farm from morning till night, come back, do cassava, cook, and give the children food to eat.
My father would pay their school fees, but our mothers would come behind and give them money for food, for clothing, and all that. So there was this collective effort between the man and the woman. So my father provided what I would call the enabling environment for the wives to work and generate income. If I recall, when I was in the ages of 5, 6, when my mother is going to the farm, she will put me in the carrier seat of her bicycle, and she will ride several kilometers to the farm. And there used to always be a fun in the village that I was the horn of my mother's bicycle. Because she was riding, I would be shouting that we're coming home, and then they will give us, Awaika, we're Nigeria, Awaika. That was my role for my mother.
The Urhobo land is also well endowed with oil and gas resources.
And exploration and exploitation has started in 1958. What you have as OML 30 today, the Kokori oil fields, Afiesere oil fields, Eremukokwanye oil fields, Agbara oil fields, Orogun oil fields, Ugeli oil fields, all of these of Urhobo land provided the financial enablement. We have the largest gas field in Africa. This is Urhobo land, a people rich, a land rich in every material particular.
In all, the Urhobos enjoy a significant sense of oneness.
When there is a crisis in the community came together. They were united, and my village, for example, they had all animals in the town, and they would kill some at Christmas, and they would share to the whole community. The community was united.
Over the years, Urhobo land has witnessed migration of Urhobos to other climes.
We occupy a very small place. Of course, we also have a good population and very industrious, enterprising. As a result, they move around, and where they find themselves, they excel. They are into many businesses, and they are successful people, academics and all of them. So Urhobo people are very, very enterprising, and they are all over the place.
One thing you should understand about the Urhobo people, they are blessed by nature. God really blessed them, and wherever place they find themselves, they do good. Whatever thing they touch, they are always blessed.
Being brought up in the environment I was right here in Lagos was an Urhobo environment. Like I said, we were 60, 100 people in the compound. And then today, even if you go to Hebrew, everybody says Migo. Whether you're Yoruba, whether you're Igbo, whether you're Hausa, whatever you are, Migo has become a traditional greeting in the Hebrew organization. And I give kudos to my father for that. And I've been able to manage to keep it up myself without knowing. I went to Ghana. Also, I have a little business in Ghana, a resort hotel situation. And I had an opening day. Urhobo people were full there. In Ghana, I was tired. And my boys came dressed in wrapper to the function. So I had my Urhobo tables, in one corner. There's a young man called Johnny Dogo, who is very much in touch with the people there. And they had their union and everything. And the whole union came. I said, these people now, well, most places I go to, I can't think of anywhere I've been to. Okay, maybe Russia. But every other place I've been to, I've always run into the Urhobos. And it's a good feeling. And they're hardworking. We are, I guess the most consistent thing about Urhobo man is its inconsistency. We have a way of doing things our own way, both individually and as a group. But at the end of the day, it all comes out to be the same thing. At the end, the principle. We have a mission at all times. Even those who don't have mission have mission. It's just one of those things that we have. It's in our blood. And I'm very proud of that too.
Urhobos people are very resilient people. They're very intelligent, peace-loving, and highly dedicated to whatever they want to do. So because of their peaceful disposition to life and neighbors around them, because of the fact that they're quite intelligent and people that are purpose-driven, the Urhobos has always excelled in whatever they set out to do.
No doubt they are part of the earliest non-indigenous groups that came into the Plateau and got themselves involved in particularly economic activities to do with mining, to do with railway works, and to do with the general administration of modern Jos as it was then. They particularly made a very serious impact in the mining industry. And incidentally, we know of the mentors, the Ighos, and many others. They have lived in peace because we've not had any problem with them apart from just the normal day-to-day interactions and so on. And they have obviously contributed to the socio-economic development of not just Georgetown, but Plateau generally. And even when we were in the days of Benue Plateau, they were quite an influential tribal group. And today mining is at its low, but well, government is doing all its best to be able to revive the mining industry. And of course, you can't revive it without the Urhobos.
The traditional administration of the Urhobos is through 24 kingdoms, each with its own king.
The whole Urhobo nation is divided into kingdoms. And these kingdoms have their own dialect. We, the traditional rulers, have a common place where we meet to discuss affairs of Urhobo nation. And incidentally, I happen to be the chairman of Ukoko Urhobo nation. We meet here every second Tuesday of every month to discuss affairs affecting Urhobo and solve problems that a kingdom cannot solve itself. So there be peace and security everywhere.
Traditional rulers who are well respected as administrative, legislative authorities and what have you. And with the kingship at the head of each kingdom, the king has subordinates. They have council of chiefs, they have district heads and here and there in each kingdom. I'll give my own kingdom as an example. In Okpe, which I am from, we have the origin of Okpe. Likewise, other 23 kingdoms. We have district heads, we have the prime minister, who is the Otota of Okpe, who is the spokesman of the Okpes. And we have the Dogu. The Dogus are the high chiefs that controls or that supports the origin of Okpe. Apart from that, amongst the Dogu members, they also have the district heads. Those that controls some areas, communities, wherever, because the king cannot go everywhere. But these are people that are residents in those communities. Whatever thing that happens, they carry the policies of the traditional ruler of the origin of Okpe down to the grassroots. Whatever things that happens at the grassroots, the towns and villages, they also transmit it back to the origin. And all their meetings are well done, so there's peace and harmony in each kingdom.
However, cultural bonds also encourage a sense of union.
There are different dialects in Urhobo, but the Urhobo language is the same thing. Other things that united Urhobo, you can talk of marriage, the way the Urhobo people marry, the dress of the Urhobo man, wherever he is, the kind of songs the Urhobo man sings.
You go to marry from Urhobo, they entertain you again, they take care of you, we will take the in-law as part of our own. You know, that's why we don't take the complete dowry. It's usually very small, a token. But when you even pay it, we give you something again from it because we've become one family. That's the nature of the Urhobo man. Very accommodating, very courageous, and we're people of integrity.
From the 1920s, owing to raised consciousness, a number of Urhobos started meeting in and around the Western Delta to discuss common problems.
Warri was the base, and don't forget it, Warri is still the base. That was where the push, the nationalism started. They were merchants, early merchants that were trading, and because of the injustice in the system and every other thing, they decided to group. And in doing that, they saw the need to address certain political issues and administrative issues that were against their people. Morocco started in the Brotherhood Society and handed it over to Mukoro Mowo, who actually registered the union in 1936. 31 was the Brotherhood. It's 33 that it's officially inaugurated. Then, you know, it passed on in 1948. When some people were beginning to denigrate the Urhobo nation, when they formed the Urhobo Brotherly Society, Utomo Okwovo and Mukoromowo and others, Okpudu and the rest of them, they made sure that discipline, you do something wrong, they bring you and you account for it. So that discipline has been imbibed all along.
The meeting held in Ukpara in 1925 turned out to be seminal. In 1935, it rebranded itself and has since been more famously known as the Urhobo Progress Union, or UPU for short. The movement became quite popular and attracted subscribers and support, such that branches sprouted in Sapele, Kaduna, and Lagos. The name Urhobo Progress Union was proposed to reflect its new cosmopolitan character. The UPU had now acquired a new dynamic and impetus, reaching its apogee under Chief Mukoromowo, a rich aristocrat who became president in 1937 and held the reins till 10th of August 1948.
Amazing, the concept, what Mukoromowo, in fact, what Omokwovo did. He was a trader in what we call Oleso, in Warri. And he said, look, I cannot be going to see the resident all the time. I need any one of us who is educated to come and take over the leadership of this thing. So that's when Mukoromowo became the head of it. And Mukoromowo was a leader. He saw education as prime. We must educate our children. And they did two things. First, Warri College was moved from Warri in 1945 to Ughelli, because Government College, Ughelli. Two, he went around this country, Mukoromowo. He went to Jos to contribute Kibe, 6 pence, Toro, 3 pence. Wokpawoto put it down to establish Urhobo College. Two, they didn't stop there. They sent 2 of our people, 2, McNeil, Gabriel Ejaife, and Igho from Ogrude to overseas. If Igho went to Cambridge, and they both studied, and the other one went to Durham University, and they both studied and came. That was the establishment of Urhobo College in 1947. And one was principal, Ejaife, and Igho was vice principal. They didn't stop. That's what I said, the Urhobo man. The scholarships were not limited to Urhobos. They gave to Igbos, they gave to Ijos. For example, S.J. Okudu, who became registrar of the University of Ibadan, was a byproduct of the Urhobo College scholarship. A man from Rivers, Port Harcourt, who became vice chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Tamunu, was also trained in history in the University of Ibadan, and he became the vice chancellor of the University of Ibadan, and so on. So education was very, very important to those our founding fathers.
The former chief judge of Delta State, Rosalind Bozimon, became a student, and I taught her in Urhobo College.
We were the first set of girls to be admitted for the HSC in Urhobo College. So if UPA had not been there to establish Urhobo College, probably I would not even have gone to the higher school. But fortunately for me, I am also from the Arigbe family of Efrun. And as you know, the Arigbe family contributed land as their own support for the college. And they had scholarships as well. So I enjoyed the Arigbe family scholarship in Urhobo College. I'm sure this is to encourage the girl child, getting a space for them, making them come to school, and establishing the HSC.
because this was the first time, this was in 1966. And so I finished from there, 1967. So I'm part of the legacy of the UPU, and we thank them very much. Let me thank them on behalf of all the ladies that went through that college for their HSC. So I'm a living witness of the good that the UPU did for the Urhobo land.
Key area they focused on was education. They drove the process up to the establishment of what we know today as Urhobo College. They were giving scholarships to individuals to go abroad to specialize. I remember one of the first principals of Urhobo College was actually a beneficiary of that sponsorship. But right now, these things are happening, but they are happening at the individual level. I know a lot of you have given scholarship. I have my own scholarship program too. A lot of people, is now happening at the individual level. And that is the issue of individualism, okay? The challenge to UPU is how to harness, as a central body, the resources that individuals are committing piecemeal to a central purse, so that they can be more professionally organized and equitably distributed.
The UPU is not a political organization.
Should UPU be apolitical? Yes. UPU was always apolitical. But what do you mean by apolitical? You know, some say it's a social-cultural organization, therefore should move away completely from politics. It is not possible. UPU must be there to speak and champion the position of the Urhobo nation. Yes, as to whether they should support one party or the other, yes, I'm not so sure they should do that. Frankly, some of us have been very, very uncomfortable with the perception that of so many, or do I say of some, that UPU is pro one party or the other. We're not comfortable with that. You know, we want them to be involved in politics, fight to protect the interests of the Urhobo nation as a whole. But when we get back home, let the best man, irrespective of what political platform, emerge. I think that is what everybody desires.
From the onset, this separation of cultural from political interest was strictly maintained. The Mukoromuwe years will therefore be remembered for its animated concern with Urhobo identity and the position of the Urhobos in the Committee of Tribes.
Today cannot compare the achievement to that of Mukoromuwe. There could also be a reason why the achievement of each President General cannot be the same. The challenges at the time of Mukoromuwe is different from the challenges of his successor. The challenges of his successor to the successor to the present day, they are quite different. So in a way, it becomes difficult to give rating, the same rating to everybody. But one or the other, they have always improved on what they made, because challenges are quite different.
The matter of unity amongst the Urhobos had been an important concern, such that its motto was changed to Unity is Strength in 1956. The UPU has scored some significant successes in the area of Urhobo integration and harmony. The UPU enjoyed a pride of place in the public domain, and it sought actively to promote Urhobo culture and popular development.
Urhobo Oliviesa, Urhobo Kokole Ogbale, Urhobo Oliviesa, Urhobo Jevena, Asofa Jevetio. That what he is telling you is that part of our beauty, part of our uniqueness is that we are a town with many kings. So like a coat of many colors is what that anthem is saying. But that has not
meant disunity. Is unity is just like the same culture that is being expressed in different ways. Then the founding fathers were not really operating from the cultural dimension. They operated from the political dimension. They needed to galvanize Urhobos, these various kingdoms and all of that, to participate in the politics of the day.
The UPU has remained committed to its mandatory purpose under its current president, Chief Igho. The idealism which powered the birth and nurturing of the UPU are still intact and continue to drive the hearts of Urhobo men and women.
All Urhobos should support UPU so that we can grow and speak with one voice. When you speak together, you make more impact in the society.
Let UPU for keeping it going for nearly 90 years and still going strong. And not many cultural groups or societies are still around that old. I think we are only next to ANC of South Africa. So no matter what weaknesses we might find in the UPU gathering everybody together, but the important thing is that it's kept going, it's become the reference point for everybody. So if you are very successful, one of the things they ask, have you been president of any UPU organization? So the Urhobo-typical person who wants to be an Urhobo man and recognized as such still use UPU as a reference point.
What inspires me greatly about the Urhobo people is our enterprising spirit. And I think that is the spirit that brought a lot of our people to the diaspora over many, many years. We as a people, we are incredibly adaptive. So you see Urhobo people in different parts of the world, blended in, speaking the language, engaging in the local economy, developing themselves and developing others around them. And I think that's a very, very powerful characteristic of our people. And in traveling overseas and building communities of diaspora, I think what is also clear is that Urhobo people are distinctly proud of their culture. So we have taken the culture, the traditions, the practices, the clothing, all the way from Nigeria to wherever we go in the world. And here in the United Kingdom, I think the way in which our communities organized and shared their culture to their children has kept the Urhobo traditions and cultures alive and has kept the Urhobo Progress Union alive in the diaspora. And I think moving forward, that diaspora has a significant role to play in developing our community back home. And I think the UPU is the structure and the glue that holds us all together in driving towards that mission of creating a greater and ever greater Urhobo nation.
It is this idealism which, through popular contributions, built Urhobo College that is now on the cusp of establishing the Okugbe Microfinance Bank.
We have taught our people the art of wanting to contribute ideas. One example is what Abraham Obodo and Benson and Francis Werido have tried to do with the Microfinance Bank.
The UPU initiated an idea of a microfinance that will be able to raise capital to help the lower in society, the youth and women groups. And for 3 years they tried, it was not possible. Then until somehow we got it differently, and I spearheaded a committee to say, let's start it all over again. And the communication was right. The process was transparent. Nobody had doubt about what we were doing. And in 3 months, we surpassed the subscription. We surpassed the projection. We wanted to raise 200 million, but we ended up raising above 360 million to begin the microfinance. As I speak, we're already at the CBN asking for a license to operate the Okugbe Microfinance Bank. And so, how did that come about? It came about because people just believed in the process, the leadership of the process, the transparency, the way we communicated. People believed in it. And then those leadership is also about sacrifice. If you do not sacrifice, you will not have followership. But when people see the volume, the level of your sacrifice, personal sacrifice, they will have reason to believe that, yes, this is the leadership to follow.
As one of the think tanks rewriting the history with respect to the current President General, Olorogun Peter Igho, and his leadership, the whole concept of setting up a bank for Urhobo land was conceptualized. And I'm privileged to say that I was one of the key drivers of the Okugbe Microfinance Bank project. With due respect to Abraham Ogbodo, who was the chairman of that committee, and Francis Werido, who was also, the vice chairman. And together, we committed ourselves to seeing to the full capitalization of Okugbe Microfinance Bank. Where there's a will, there's always a way.
The Moses Tiger-led administration has been able to float a microfinance bank. And this is anchored on the likes of Abraham Ogbodo and Ewerido. They've been able to muster the Urhobo nation. So we are set to go.
The spirit is still there. The spirit is still there. It needs to be activated to grow stronger.
This idealism also struggles against much of the deindustrialization that has blighted economic life in Urhobo land.
Our generation, without mincing words, failed the Urhobo land. I'm courageous enough to say that I'm part of that generation. Urhobo land was about the most industrialized senatorial district in this country. That is what our founding fathers, the Urhobo people, who cooperated among themselves, these were Urhobo men who worked hard, whose source of income could always be traced. Today, what has happened in Urhobo land? Not one of these companies remain in existence. I'm not talking about 90% gone. 100% of them are gone.
I was the porter of Moto, Toyota, for many years. And due to the policy of Nigeria, it made me to leave that business because of foreign currency.
But the people are responding with fierce pride and a renewed energy to restore economic health. Young and old proclaim a new pride in Urhoboness and the possibilities of the land.
We can't keep to ourselves because it's not our nature. And we can't help ourselves from going to different places because it's not our nature. However, I think it's time for us to consolidate, work together as a team. When you have a broomstick, one, it's broken. One is, I've seen two broomsticks, two brooms put together like this, and a person laid on it, and they carry them up. Try it with one stick, can never work. And that's the same secret that families also should imbibe. You be together as a team. You can fight inside the house. But when you go out there, everybody should see you as one, no matter what the case is. And I suggest that the Urhobos should continue with that attitude and that ability to protect ourselves. If you don't, and also, of course, my Uncle Felix used to say, if you don't blow your horn, nobody else is going to blow it for you.
But Urhobo pride is a rational experience and will not thrive on an empty stomach or be supported by idle hands. There is a solution.
I'm proud to say that I'm one of the new faces of the Urhobo next generation, rewriting the history and the story of Urhobo land. Greatness is a matter of choice. It is not wishful thinking And I truly believe that we all can achieve greatness. Our generation is demonstrating that we can do anything we want to do once we believe, we're committed to it, and we're dedicated to it. And I truly believe that Urhobo shall be great again.
There is a growing list of men and women who take pride in the Urhobo project and are ready to provide support.
Urhobo, the former editor of Guardian, actually called me and said, Muti, look at what's coming up. I was so excited. I told her, I believe in it. Immediately I signed, I will contribute. That microfinance, Okugbe, it is a formidable idea. I'm so impressed with it. Apart from uniting us, it will create a forum for people who can source for funds to drive their business to another level.
The UPU has enhanced consciousness and produced an increasingly consensual response to common public interest concerns.
UPU is an umbrella under which all Urhobo people would like to seek a shade. Therefore, UPU, I believe, should be more pragmatic. UPU, I think I said this in one interview before, UPU should be run like a corporation where there's accountability, where people can look forward to opportunities, and then we are in a big nation where opportunities are bound. But if you don't point out your people where the opportunities are, they will not go there. So one of UPU's role, I think, is to know what government is doing and how we can take advantage of the opportunities coming.
The UPU now exists in a world much different from that which inspired it. The UPU must therefore grow and change or atrophy into redundancy.
I believe in the UPU cause. Thank God we had great-grandfathers who had foresight and they came up with this thing. And I'm so happy again that the current UPU team, they are putting more weight into this UPU cause. We really don't have any choice but to support them.
The Urhobos are, by popular account, the 5th largest ethnic nationality in the country today. Though the UPU is a cultural group, it cannot ignore the measure of power, patronage, and resources which accrue to the Urhobos. It must therefore show increased interest in those who engage in politics and to what effect the outcomes are deployed.
Tremendous progress, awe-inspiring history. From my findings, I discovered that it's one of the oldest, if not about the oldest, surviving social-cultural organization. It's about that in Nigeria. Others have died and revived, but it is a tribute. That's a tribute to the oneness in Urhobo land and the spirit of cooperation. We have had our own checkered history too. There has been leadership tussle here and there most times, but those leadership tussle, like you see in some other places, have not led to one person killing the other person. You know, maybe hot contests regarding ideas and all that. But it's typical in all organizations to have some of these high cups at times. But in the midst of all these high cups, we have survived. We have survived as an association. They have done very well. They have spoken for the Urhobo people. They have pushed on our agenda on the political terrain, the national political terrain. I'm sure you have seen too, they have paid a number of visits to different presidents, to different heads of state, making a case for the Urhobo people. And I think that's very commendable. And going forward, I think they need to also maintain what they have been doing and also raise the game. Just to also speak for them here, we also need to give them more money. It's always a case of funding. There's always a need for more money. So we're encouraging Urhobo people to always fund us, our association, our umbrella association, and continue to make sure it performs its role in the lives of the Urhobo people.
Greater thought must be given to the matter of language survival and development. The UPU must continue to promote Urhobo unity, It must continue to promote the language and provide a new energy for politics and politicians such that the Urhobos will allocate what they truly deserve.
Let me congratulate the Urhobo Progress Union. 90 years is not easy, it's no joke. To be together for 90 years and still waxing strong is no mean feat. You know, in every household, whether we like it or not, children of the same parents, they even quarrel among themselves. But at the end of it all, the most important thing that I will recommend is unity. Unity. Let us, unity, love, and progress. Let us be united. Let us love ourselves. Let us not be selfish about the decisions we take. Let us recognize talent and support that. You know, we become petty when we want to serve our own agenda. We become petty when we say, no, this one has done this to me, this one must be like this one must be like that. There has to be unity. Without unity, they will not even have been to the state they're going. That's 90 years. So I will plead with my fathers, with my brothers, with my younger ones, that there has to be unity, and with that unity, we speak with one voice. Because if we don't speak with one voice, we are deceiving ourselves. If we don't speak with one voice, there will be no progress. And this is the Urhobo Progress Union. We want to progress. We have been progressing. So let us come together. It is strength. If we are united, we will be strong and we can speak with one voice. Let Urhobo Vovo, let that of Vovo-ness permeate our lives, and let us respect one another. Once we show respect to one another and we love ourselves and we speak with one voice, the sky will be the limit. I wish the Urhobo Progress Union very successful celebrations, and that by the grace of God, we shall foster this unity that we are all dying for. And may God bless the UPU, may God bless the Urhobo nation, may God bless Nigeria, bless Delta States.
It is 90 years since the pioneer promoter of Urhobo integration and progress gathered in Ukpara to proclaim their vision. We respect their vision when we ourselves commit to the same ends. We have grown in size, but so have our expectations. In all we do, our self-definition as Urhobos is crucial. We must therefore carry our language with us, as it is the vehicle of our self-respect and the basis of our group identity. Everywhere, a new pride has seized the imagination of the Urhobos. This is evident in the emergence of Dr. Ovaje's invention in medical science and that of Dr. Ake in scholarship. The Urhobo experience continues to be enlarged. The vision of Mo and Salubi continue to receive fresh fulfillment. The heirs of this heritage, we salute not just their labors. We also recommit ourselves totally to the social, political, and economic emancipation of Urhobos everywhere.